tried to get through it and understand, things with the car and obviously with myself gelling with it and getting the maximum out of it. But there was, just too many kind of weekends. It was obviously just a bit of a struggle. So that was pretty much how the kind of decision came about.
Well, it's never enough drama when it comes to Daniel Ricciardo. The 8-time race winner still hasn't found his place in F1 in 2023, and although he told the media that time will tell and he'll inform everyone of his decision, we're starting to grow a little bit impatient. When it comes to Ricciardo, there have been numerous options at the beginning of the silly season, but when the silly season took full swing, it became evident that Ricciardo is not that wanted of an asset at all. Although he does have several opportunities in 2023, it's very likely that he'll have to settle for the role of a reserve driver. And 2 teams are now ready to offer him that, McLaren and Mercedes. The second one emerged as a bigger and more suitable candidate. And if you want to find out more about that, stick around with us until the end of this video. Ricciardo's tenure in McLaren is over, and the pain of seeing him finish from P13 to P18 will finally end. We all know that he deserved better, and although he is a bit to be blamed due to his inability to adapt to the MCL 36, the car has regressed in 2022 and is nowhere near what Ricciardo would want it to be. Still, he will remember the 2021 Monza win, his 8th in F1, and the 1-2 finish of McLaren at that very same track.
Yeah! He won! But he did it! Yes! Yeah, boy!
However, this was far away from enough, as it seems like Ricciardo's salvation in McLaren wasn't something that the team was eager to invest in, and they've agreed to buyout terms since they've signed his compatriot, Oscar Piastri. Nevertheless, Ricciardo is without a seat and is likely to accept the role of a reserve driver for the 2023 season, as Mercedes has emerged as the best suitors for this position. Now, prior to that, let's say a bit about Ricciardo's opinion on his future. What's encouraging for every F1 fan out there is that Ricciardo wants to continue racing in F1, which is something that is giving us hope that he'll push for a spot somewhere on the grid. However, he also said there are high possibilities that he'll accept the reserve driver role due to the fact that he understands the circumstances that he's currently in, and he doesn't want to act too proud to not accept this, as he added, "I wouldn't give up on F1. If it means I'm not on the grid next year, I'll certainly try to find a way to be on there in 2024. It's honestly the only racing I'm really interested at the moment. My mindset is still, I'm an F1 driver. I'm proud of what I've done, but I still feel there's a bit more to show, to give. I wouldn't race another category next year," said Ricciardo. "The truth is I'm keeping every option open, not only for next year but for the future. I still don't know what next year looks like. As Lewis said earlier, I do want to be on the grid. I do want to race. Although it's certainly been a challenging time in my career, it hasn't taken the love of the sport away from me and that desire to still be here and still compete," finished Ricciardo. Ricciardo was also asked about whether or not he'll be able to join a team that is doing a long-term project, something like Williams and Alfa Romeo, and his answer was positive, as he said, "I still definitely have the ability to love a project, but of course if there's this longer project and this one where you're going to win tomorrow, of course I'm going to go for the quick wins. They are things I would definitely give some thought to. I don't also want to be stubborn or short-sighted and be like, oh no, I'm not interested in that. I will give everything its respected thought. From 2017, every 2 years I've been with a different team. I don't want to just sign something and think, wait now, something else is there for 2024. So it's probably not as simple as just getting somewhere on the grid next year. It can probably go in many different directions, so I don't think it needs an immediate decision. It's going to be about what's best for me." Nevertheless, a source that is very close to F1 has reported about a potential signing between Daniel Ricciardo and Mercedes. As the publishment goes, Mercedes are thinking about Ricciardo to cover off the possibility of walking away at the end of next season. Bringing Daniel in their camp means they wouldn't be left high and dry. It would also mean George would be the main man from that point in 2024. Now, Hamilton's deal is expiring at the end of 2023, which means that Ricciardo will be able to suit up for the 2024 season. He'll have 35 years when this is supposed to happen, which is far away from the desired retirement rate, but is also far away from an ideal long investment in a driver. However, both of the Mercedes drivers were asked about this opportunity of Daniel, and Hamilton said that he respects Daniel way too much and that he thinks Danny needs to race in 2023 and not sit on the sidelines or be a reserve driver, even if that's for Mercedes. Nevertheless, Ricciardo has said that his plans are to sit out the 2023 season and conquer for a seat in 2024 during the drivers' parade at the Dutch GP, as he was talking to Perez at that time. I think he's far too talented and he's earned the right to be amongst us all racing. If he's part of our team, that'll be great, but a third role is not really what's best for him. If I was managing him, he'd be racing, said Hamilton, who also added that he has never felt better in his 37 years of life and that he plans to extend the deal with Mercedes in the upcoming period. For me, I feel healthier than I've ever felt. I'm feeling fit, I love what I'm doing, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. My goal is to always be with Mercedes. I signed with them in 1997. I love that we have the long partnership we have. I feel like we're embarking on a lot of really positive things, not only in the sport but outside, and I think there's a lot to accomplish together. I want to be a part of that, finished Hamilton. George Russell also spoke about this, and we all know how close he is with Daniel. Quite frankly, we don't know anyone who isn't close with Daniel, since he's one of the most likeable characters on the grid, and the young Briton added, "I've not heard any reports or heard anything, but I think Daniel's track record speaks for itself really. He's a driver deserving of a seat on the Formula 1 grid, and it would be a real shame for him not to be there next season. But obviously from our side, having a driver his caliber joining the team in any capacity would be a real boost. He's a driver I get along with. I just hope he stays on the grid and in the sport," finished Russell. Whether we like it or not, it seems like this is the only place that Daniel can fit in right now. It's a very unfortunate thing to happen, but Haas are probably moving in the direction of signing either Giovinazzi or Hülkenberg, as both of these drivers would be more than happy to drive for a smaller pay cut just to prove they're still made out of F1 material. Alpine was the other destination, and they've shortlisted the potential list of drivers to just 4, including Doohan, De Vries, Hülkenberg and Herta, if the latter is receiving the super license from the FIA. As for Williams, it's likely they'll pursue the likes of De Vries for the same reason as Haas, as Nick will be more than happy to drive for a smaller amount of money just because he can prove himself that he's made out of F1 material. Ricciardo is set to take $15 million from buyout terms from McLaren, which is not something that he's willing to let go. This will be the case if he signs a deal with any other team, as McLaren will be refunded the sum that Ricciardo accepts to drive for in any team on the grid. So, what do you think is next for the Aussie? Do you think that he deserves a chance on the grid one more time? Or do you think that we've seen enough of him in McLaren and he needs to step back a bit? Let us know in the comments below.